Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm attempting to fix my engine light again. I'm getting an error code of P1121. In our previous video, we tried to replace the control valve right here. I'll list the part information below in the video, but today we're hoping to potentially replace another part, which is the pump assembly water part. This is right over here. You can see it. This is right here. I'm pointing to this. So for us to get to that, you need to remove the front driver's headlight, and to get under here, there's a 10mm bolt that's right behind the front bumper and another one right here. So for you to remove this, you'll need to remove the front bumper. There's a 10mm bolt you need to remove here. Remove all these clips up here, pop it up a little bit, pull it out, and then you'll be able to get to the front headlight. But before we do that, I'm going to show you guys how to run the code so that you'll know what kind of code that you get from the car. So I have with me a NextPeak. This is an ODB2 reader that can potentially read all Priuses, anything that has an ODB2 connector on any of these Japanese car. For us to read the code, you need to make sure you plug this in. Your ODB2 connector's down here. Don't step on the brake when you do this, but press the power button twice so that you can see the light that comes up. Once that's up, you should be able to run the diagnostic on here. This model is an NX501, but any in the market, they have a couple of sensors that's out there, but this one seems to work for me just fine. It's currently reading. Not sure if you guys can see that. But once it reads, you should be able to see the code. And this code is again the P1121 that we're trying to fix. A lot of the time when we replace the P1121 error is two-part. Again, the control valve, and the other one is a water pump. Part number I'll list it below so that you'll be able to see it, but we'll get to the process in terms of how to get the unit apart and replace it and what tools we'll be needing. The tools you'll be needing today is a drive motor inverter coolant water pump from Toyota. This is the part number. It's G90-47031. This is the part that we're going to be replacing today. You'll need a couple of tools to get the job done. You'll need a 10mm wrench and socket, a couple of pliers, needle nose pliers, a couple of vice clamp, and of course a flathead screwdriver. So let's go ahead and start the work. So essentially, before you can even get to the unit where you want to remove, you need to remove the front bumper to be able to get into where the 10mm bolt is for the front headlight. In the front here, this is the driver front headlight. There's a bolt right here that you need to replace. There's actually remove, and then there's a bolt right here that you'll need to remove. But to get underneath here, you need to remove the front bumper. And we need to remove all these clips first before we can begin. There's also a 10mm bolt under the cover here to help remove the front bumper. Make sure when you do this stuff, you keep all the parts in a safe place, so that you don't misplace them. So when it comes to reinstalling the front bumper, it's a lot easier. Okay, now that we got the front bumper up here, at least the clips here removed, we can move to the next piece, which is the left-hand side, the driver's side front bumper area that we need to remove. So I'll show you where that's at. So it is right here. Okay, so here's 10 millimeter. It's removed. So once you have that removed, you should be able to just pull this out. Just pull it out a little bit. And these are all the clips that you need. And once it's pulled out, you can access the front headlight. Okay, so once you remove the 10 millimeter, it's pretty easy. You just pull and the front bumper just comes off a little bit. You'll just need to gain access to this bolt right here, and there's also another bolt right underneath here, right here, which is where it holds the front light together. So we'll be removing this out. We'll pull this out. Once we pull that out, we should gain access into that water pump right here. Okay. So now that the bolt is out, we can now focus on removing this front headlight. Don't forget, there's also another bolt up here of the headlight. So make sure you remove that right here. So I'm pointing to it. There's 3 in total. One here, and then one on the side right here, okay? Okay, so now that it is up, just loosen it a little bit and you should be able to pull this out. So again, now that the headlights bolts are removed, you can just loosen it. Make sure it comes unclamped, make sure there's nothing else that's tied to it, and you should be able to pull this out. So once you got all the 3 bolts, the top and 2 on the side out, make sure that you disconnect the power that runs your headlight. So they come out fairly easy, so just pinch and pull right here, just come out. Okay, so these are the 3 connectors that you'll need to remove. Headlights up here, the main headlight, and that's it. Once you pull it out, you should be able to gain access to the water pump, which we'll be focusing on to get this replaced. Okay, so once you get the headlight out, make sure you put it to the side where it's nice and safe, so nothing can fall on it and damage the headlight. We'll be working right here. These are the 2 bolts, one's behind here, and there's another one behind that. Not sure you'll be able to see it, but these are the ones that I need to remove to disassemble this assembly here, the motor assembly here. We'll also disconnect this power in a bit, but I'll get to that in a minute. So remember, the bolt that comes out is a little longer than the rest, so make sure you put this in a safe place. You don't want to lose this. If you want to be able to remove, let's see here. If you want to remove the fuse box, you can do that as well. If that also helps give you a little bit more space. There's a bolt up here, and then there's a bolt down there. Not sure you can see it, but right there that you need to remove to at least lift the fuse box a little bit and give you some space to work. I'm going to go ahead and remove the fuse box. So this is also a 10mm, one right here on the right hand side, as you can see it, and then again another one down there, and we're using extensions to get in there. Once you get the bolt loosened up, you should be able to remove this by hand, and that should come out, which is this bolt down here. Okay, put this to a safe location. Okay, so the area again that we want to remove is this unit right here. This is the unit. So there's a bolt underneath here, and there's a bolt right here to hold it up. And this is the area. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it. So that's the unit. This is the unit right here that needs to be replaced. So typically when you remove or replace the coolant control valve, which is here on our previous video, you should also replace this. But I wanted to see if one part should be able to make the error code go away, but apparently I need to replace this as well. So for us to do that, we can now lift this up. This unit comes out like this, right? So if you pull this out slightly, that gives you some more space to work on. So what we'll do is we'll take two vice clamp, we'll clamp here and we'll clamp here. Reason is I don't want to have to flush the system and then pour some additional coolant in there again. So I want to try to do the quick and lazy way. Let's move the camera over there so it's a little easier to work. And we're going to start getting the clamp in there. Going to adjust this piece of rubber right here really quick, so give it some room. Remember which one's on top and which one's on bottom, right? So which hose goes on top and which goes on bottom, because this is important. So I'm going to memorize which one, and we're going to quickly swap this out so that we don't get confused which one. Okay, vice clamp number 1 goes in, so that holds all the water. And tighten this up slightly so that we don't get any leaks. Okay, number 1. Number 2. Tighten this up. So once you have the clamp in place, you should be able to get a plier and loosen this up and pull it back. Okay. One back here. Alright, so we're ready to remove the hose. Don't forget to remove or disconnect the power connector. It's the control unit electrical connector. That is right here. Let's see. Yep, it's right here. I'll leave that aside and we'll come back to it in a minute. So I went and I ordered a brand new one, like I showed you earlier. This is a genuine Toyota part. I didn't want to go and use a third party manufacturer, because you know OEM is always better. And sometimes when you go third party, it may not be manufactured properly, so you end up wasting your money and ending up replacing it again. So now that you have the unit removed from the box, you can now disconnect the hose, which is these two hoses right here. Again, remember which one's on top. This is bottom, this is top, and we're just going to go ahead and do it. Hopefully we should get some drainage of the water, but at least the coolant water, hopefully it doesn't come out too much. We'll also get a flathead and see if we can pry this thing open. that doesn't work, get a plier. It's on there pretty tight. Get a plier, we're just gonna twist it off slightly here. And a monkey wrench will help you out quite a bit if you have one. Of course, some coolant will come out since there's a bit in here, but at least that clamp should help alleviate some of the coolant leak. Now that you have it loosened up a little bit, you should be able to use your hand to pull this hose out. Hopefully we got the vice clamp on there properly. If not, more coolant's gonna come out. Alright, so the vice clamp did its job. See, vice clamp did its job, and no additional coolant comes out of the hose. Now we'll proceed on to the next one. So remember which one on top. This one's on top, the other one's on bottom. So we're gonna work on the second one. We'll use a wrench again to loosen this up. Once it's loosened up, you should be able to pull this out. Just like so. Of course, you'll have some coolant leak, but that's okay. And then, now the new one goes in. Put it in the same way. You took the other one out. Bottom goes on the bottom, just like so. See the little, there's a white marking right here. This is the bottom. So make sure it goes in so. And then we'll get the top part. We'll put it in here as well. So now that these are in, we're gonna go ahead and put the clamp back in so that it holds everything in place. So make sure it's nicely in there. It's helpful that you have some towel laying around as well. And these vice clamps are very helpful. It prevents the coolant from coming out too much. Alright, so time to put this back in place. So this should go back to where it was before. Just like so. Make sure the clip is on the inside, away from everything else, so that it doesn't contact with anything if you ever work on the car again. Okay. Line that up. Okay, now you're ready to reassemble the unit. Now you're ready to, once that's done, you should be able to remove the vice clamp and then mount this back into its rightful position. Okay, gonna go ahead and remove the vice clamp. We should be good. Just loosen this up. Pull this out, so everything should be secure. Give it some light so you can see. Remove the other vice clamp at the bottom, loosen it up, pull this out, and you should be good. Next step, put this back together. So this bracket right here, not sure you can see, this bracket right here goes under the fuse box. So make sure you lift it up. The fuse box right here, which is to your right, that's the fuse box connector. That's the bolt that goes in. This bracket goes underneath that. There's also a latch. Not sure if you see the latch here, a little connector latch. This is the guide pin, essentially, to hold this bracket in place. And that's it. Should be able to just hand tighten this, feel it go through, and then before you do that, before you fully tighten this up. So I'm going to reach behind this, feed the bolt through, guide it through the hole, and then use my hand to tighten it. I'm not sure you'll be able to see this with not enough light, but once it's in, I'll show you where that's at. It's okay, I'll edit it. Alright, so that's the bolt down there. I point to it with my finger right here. I'm not sure there's enough light so you can't see it, but that is the bolt that you need to put back. So the fuse box cover goes on top, the latch goes on the bottom, and then you put that bolt back together. Hey man.
Hey, what's up? You have a shoe brush by any chance?
I don't. You're gonna have to use a towel.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Can I use this brush or no?
Yeah.
Are you making it for your YouTube channel?
So bolt goes in right here. tighten this down. You don't want to tighten up too much because it is plastic and you don't want to crack it. Just enough to hold the fuse box together. Okay, we're in good shape. Okay, so now that everything is back together, don't forget to connect the electrical connector back on. You should be able to feel a click once you plug it into here. And then we'll make sure to see if we can erase the code after, and if it comes back, then we can troubleshoot something else. But in the meantime, I'm going to get a towel to clean all of this up. So luckily, it's not a lot of coolant that came out because of the vice clamp that would help us. But we'll make sure we'll top it off after we finish. Wipe that down a little bit, and then I'll put together the front headlight here, and then we should be able to bolt everything together and we should be good. So remove the bumper slightly. Again, pull this out. You should be able to access your headlight area. It goes in like this. Plug the headlight unit cable back in, all the electrical, and that's pretty much it. So goes in like so. Make sure your cable's plugged in. So make some adjustment here really quick on the headlight. Okay, bottom one goes in the bottom, like so. Top one, you can't go wrong. All the adapter and fits in one way. You hear a click once you put it in. Okay, the headlight. It slides in like so. So make sure that the bolt area lines up. There's one up here, and then there's one down here. Okay, so the hole should line up just like that, and then we're just gonna start bolting it together. So when you start bolting it in, don't fully tighten it. Make sure you tighten enough so that you have enough wiggle room to adjust the light if need to. But before we do that, we're going to turn on the headlight to make sure that all the electrical works properly. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Okay, we got all the cables. Looks like we did it right. Let's turn on the hand signal really quick. Let's turn this on. Okay, signal works, light's good. We can now proceed with the rest. Let's turn that off. We'll bolt this down and we'll put the front bumper back together. It's always good to hand tighten things up first before you give it some pressure. And we are good. Let's go ahead and we can bolt this back on and we should be done. So clip goes in like so. Push this in place. Alright, so all you have to do is give it a little pressure and push the front bumper against the clip and it should hold. Once clip down there, snap it in, clip down here, okay, so the front area is pretty much done. And then we got the 10mm bolt on the left hand side. Now I'll show you in a minute here. We just have to put the 10mm bolt back in and we should be done. Our 10mm wrench goes up like this, and tighten it a little bit. That's it, and you should be set now. Okay, so everything's back fully plugged in. Everything should work. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna clear the error code, and hopefully it doesn't come back. And if it does come back, we're gonna have to troubleshoot a little something else. I know last time when I replaced the control valve right here, coolant control valve, I didn't use an OEM, so if it does come back in terms of the error code, we'll just have to replace this with a OEM coolant control valve. So I managed to clear the computer earlier. Looks like I didn't do it right, but the check engine light is no longer there. Don't mind the TPS sensor for my tires. Look like I have to replace those as well since the battery seems to be bad. But I cleared the code. We're going to go for a quick drive and see if the error comes back.